coordinator in Durban, South Africa. Currently over there is 2 a.m. So we all should really appreciate and listen carefully to what she is sharing, because she has taken this time, even though it's her meditation time, as she mentioned, from 2 to 5 a.m. every day, but she has taken this time to be with us. And I met this wonderful sister and powerful yogi in Madhuban, our meeting point, in the headquarters of the Mount Abu in Rajasthan. And I met her in a position of being the coordinator for the youth retreats. And my son was one of the youth participants, and this is how I got to meet her and to learn a lot from her. And while I was here planning who we should invite for our next talk, and a schedule for October, I was just thinking out loud, and my son was around, and he said to me, "How about Sister Dipty?" And I was like, "Which Sister Dipty?" Because there are a few I know. He said, the youth coordinator, because he remembered her, as being someone who is very wise, fair, and fun to have around, as he said to me. So, having known her for this many years, it's just such a pleasure to have her with us, because Sister Dipty has been exposed to so many different shades of living in South Africa, and has faced many different situations and has a tremendous amount of experiences. So here we are. I don't want to take more of her time and our time. And welcome, Sister Dipty.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Can you hear clearly?
Yes, very clearly. Thank you.
So from here, it's good morning. It was a lovely time and a special awakening this morning. It's our Sunday morning here, and it's raining for the last few days non-stop, but has been a very welcome rain, but a unique time. And so here am I sitting in South Africa and connecting with the wonderful, beautiful energy of the USA and California and all these wonderful places where I never knew my heart and mind would be at this physical time. So here we are. It's lovely. So one of the topics that has been very much on my mind, and I think it's so needed at this present moment, is the whole aspect of inner security in rapidly changing times. Today in the world, things change so fast and so suddenly. And if I'm not inwardly settled and at peace and secured in my being, then to respond to these needs can sometimes be very stressful. They can cause a lot of anxiety and cause a lot of strain on the person. And so one of the journeys that I found extremely useful in my own time is to say, the world is moving at its own spin, but where am I at? And how on a regular basis, every day, we need to create that space inside where there's a deep, deep stage of stability. Yeah. And so before I start the session this morning or your evening, maybe whoever the participants are, maybe I could just say hello and see who you are so that I would feel happy to connect with you. Is that okay, Lisa? If it's
Totally.
possible.
It
Yeah.
is your floor. Do whatever you wish.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe whoever's participating this evening, maybe would just like to connect and say hello, and then we could take it from there.
Okay. Om Shanti, sister. This is Saranjeet. I'm from Los Angeles here in California. I'm a software engineer, and I have been connected to Brahma Kumari for last 9-10 years, and it's my pleasure that Los Angeles, our centers provide us every Saturday very good knowledge and wisdom connecting to all of across the world. And here today I am with you to have some good knowledge and wisdom from the God.
Thank you. Anybody else like to say hello? And so I could.
Hello, I'm Sudha.
Hello, Sudha.
I'm from California here, and I could just last year I connected with Brahma Kumari, and I did my meditation course, Raj Yoga meditation course, and after that I mostly connected with the workshops, and I feel so happy and peaceful, and I'm using my meditation every situation and every moment, and remembering the super energy. So that's really having fun, and I feel so happy to be in my life. So
Beautiful.
thank you very much.
Lovely.
Thank you very much. Om
Welcome.
Shanti.
Lovely.
Om Shanti.
Hello.
Hello.
Anybody else? Hello, Maggie. I see the names, Maggie. Yes.
Came from China and now I live in Los Angeles. I'm
Yes.
a new student in this organization, but yeah, I feel very comfortable listening to to this knowledge. Yeah, and I'm glad this afternoon we can join together and have a lesson from you. Thank you.
Pleasure, Maggie. Lovely. Yes. Anybody else wants to say hello?
Sir. This is Shanti.
Hello. Is that Christy? Oh, yeah.
No,
Sure.
I'm Shanti.
Someone else is trying to share as well. I'm happy to share after.
Okay.
I don't know. Did you also hear that other woman's voice?
Yeah. Anyway, go for it.
Oh, okay, sure. I'm really happy to be a new student of Brahma Kumari. I was diagnosed with breast cancer during COVID earlier in the year, and all of the workshops and the Raj meditation classes has been so grounding for me. It's really carried me throughout my cancer journey. It's provided me a tremendous amount of strength, inner peace, and an empowerment. And I've just been so thankful to be a part of this wonderful community. And I was looking for a new form of spiritual practice, so I'm so happy to found a new home. Thank you.
Lovely. Lovely. Welcome home. Good. Anybody else like to say hello? Okay. So it's really wonderful to and this is just the first aspect that we see how when we can find a space where we are anchored, in life's amazing journeys that we go through. And some of the scenes that come into our life comes very suddenly. You're just continuing with life, and then suddenly other things begin to happen. And often the way I respond to these things that happen is most of the deepest experiences that will pave my pathway, rather than just getting so caught up in what has actually happened. You know, I find that our every thought creates such an experience for us. And if my thoughts are really taken care of, then the experiences that I have in my life become powerful experiences. Very often the situations may be the same, but what I think about the situation is where my experience will come from. And if I take the experience and I lift it to a higher level, into a space where my thoughts create that deep level of wisdom, then my experiences of my life anchor me. And I think this is so, so important, because the things in life are going to happen the way they are meant to happen. But the way I respond to them, the way I think about them, are very, very essential. I was just thinking this morning as I woke up, and it was so silent and so beautiful. And to some people, to be up like at 1:30 in the morning, getting ready for this session, they must be thinking, this is a strange time to be doing a public program. And yet, for me, it was just the feeling that I'm meeting people who in my life I've been destined to meet at this time. It's such a critical time where we're all going through such a collective journey together. And when we can connect with each other like this, where the whole world collectively has a common purpose to work through, then it's such a beautiful time that it doesn't matter whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning or you're 5 o'clock in the evening, but a good feeling that we as a world family come together. And that's a very, very beautiful thought and feeling to journey with in that way. And one of the things that you've probably learned as you've done the course, and just that feeling of understanding that one of the first anchoring energies in our life is the anchored energy of really experience myself as a soul, as this living being, as the spiritual being. Because just that deep, deep experience of experiencing myself to be a soul is such an anchored moment within one's life. Because the ability of steadiness and the whole experience of being an eternal being is such a powerful moment when I'm actually facing life's journeys. I'd like to share with you a few experiences, real experiences, of how when one is so steady in the experience of being a soul, that it helps us to remain so inwardly secure when things around us change. As you may know, within South Africa as well, it's really a time where crime is also a very high rate of occurrence, but also on other levels, there's many things that one has to face. All of us have homes which are surrounded by electric fences and high walls, and having security on the property because of the level of crime and violence that is there. And one can be riddled by a lot of fear and a lot of negativity. But I found again, I had an experience a few times. The one day I was, and this was very many years ago, I used to be a school teacher, and it was in the afternoon, and I had coming back from school, and the school where I taught in was in quite a dangerous area. But I remember it was just in the afternoon, and I was coming back from school. And as I was just reaching the center where I was living, before I came in, I was held at knife point at my neck. And it was such a sudden moment. And here I was in the daylight and thinking, okay, So this is happening to me right now. And I found that just being able to, in that moment, because for a period of time, I had deepened the experience that I'm a peaceful soul. I'm a peaceful soul, and really accepted that feeling that I'm a peaceful soul. That in that moment, this thought came very, very strongly to me. That where I really hold peace, violence cannot touch me. It was so strong and so powerful, but it was a practice that I had beforehand. And it was at the time of need that the thought actually came to me. And the thought just came that if you hold on to your peace, violence cannot touch you. And holding on to that energy of peace brought a deep sense of clarity in that moment. And in the moment of clarity, I was able to be proactive. Because very often when you are gripped by fear, when you are gripped by panic, when you are gripped by that sudden moment, one of the things that happen is your thoughts paralyze as such. And you're not sure what to do next because those thoughts really cripple you in that moment. But when you hold on to these high frequency thoughts, and you hold on to the energy of peace, and you hold on to that energy of calmness, even whilst being faced with a life-threatening moment, you are able to maintain a state of clarity. And I remember standing there with this knife at my neck. And just in that moment, I don't know where I had the courage to look at this person. And because I was near steps, I just said, "Excuse me, brother, I just need to go down the steps." And like, he wasn't waiting for an answer like that. He was waiting for somebody to scream or somebody to defend themselves. And here I was, in a very strange way, looking at him like that I never noticed the knife. And I'm saying, "Excuse me, I just want to go down the steps." And because he wasn't used to that kind of response, very naturally, he just moved. He didn't realize even what he did. And as he moved, I walked down the steps. And when I was down the steps, I ran for my life. But in that moment, he didn't know that he actually moved away. And so we see how people are used to a certain response in a certain way. So when somebody is showing violence, they are expecting you to scream, or they are expecting you to react in a certain way, and that would be their impulse to then hurt you. But when your response is of a different frequency, they actually are not sure how to respond, and as a result of it, without knowing, they cooperate with you. And that's how the moment got saved. And yes, I was fine after that. But that night, as I was recollecting what had happened in that way, there was just a very, very deep feeling inside that a practice over a period of time really helps you at the time of need. And the practice in the right way over a period of time can really help you to deepen that space. So how in our life's journey at this time, one of the beginning fundamental thoughts that you've been taught in the meditation itself, as you've done the foundation course, is really to deepen these practices so that at the time of need, these practices come alive. Because very often what happens is, if I don't think these thoughts enough and I don't give life to these thoughts, then when I need them, those thoughts disappear because I haven't given them enough life. So when I give my thoughts life, like thoughts of peace, thoughts that I'm a soul, and on a daily basis, I nurture those thoughts very, very powerfully. then those thoughts carrying me at the time of need. And so that was my first experience of how any practice in our spiritual journey, the more and more we deepen the experience of it, the more and more they will serve me. Another aspect that we had learned within the course, if you have done the course, was just the experience that I, the soul, am immortal. And again, when mortality hits us in that way and the fear of death comes, again, that energy can drop our frequency to such a low frequency because it brings fear. It creates a feeling of something ending. It's a feeling of I'm experiencing loss. All these low frequency energies come alive when I think I'm a mortal being. But again, in the energy of immortality, many, many powerful new beginnings start. And in the energy of immortality, the soul has the strength and the capacity to go on. You know, thoughts of the feeling that I'm mortal and that death comes brings me into such a feeling of limitation. But when I feel myself to be an immortal being in that way, the stability of that thought of being immortal, I find for myself that it firstly fills you with more energy because you have the capacity to keep living your life. It fills you with a level of creativity because when you are experiencing loss, when you are feeling the experience of mortality in that way, one of the things is you give into that moment and there's no creativity for the new beginning. But in this journey of immortality, again, the soul has a beautiful experience of the resilience of life and the ability of staying creative and finding new pathways to keep moving. And that's what then gives the soul a lot of strength along its journey as well. And so, again, I have many stories in my life's journey. But another time as well, when there was a moment where things happened and I had to face my own mortality as so-called. And again, it was the practice over a long period of time of thinking that I am an immortal being. Was such a beautiful moment of allowing there to be creativity that took birth within my being and realized that this scene in my life's drama doesn't have to stop me. Sometimes physical scenes in our life come, and because we think that we are mortal beings, those scenes stop us and we start holding on to that scene and thinking, oh, well, what can I do? This is what my life is all about. And yet when I can feel the immortality of my being, there's such an incredible level of resilience in who I am that no matter what comes my way, I do not give in to that moment and make that moment the most stagnant moment of my life. Because life actually flows and life is such an energizing journey. But I can only keep that energy of life alive when I'm feeling deeply within myself the energy of my immortality. It's like a fountain of the most beautiful energies within my being can grow. And so that's also a beautiful experience along this journey. I think another aspect that within the journey that really helps us, and as you've done the course and you've deepened the journey, is very often in people's lives, they feel so limited by the identity of just the roles they play. And again, that those roles in our life for such a long time has created such a deep identity of thinking who I am. But really, when I've deepened my spiritual journey, There's such a freedom. There's an absolute freedom in who I am, that I'm not just limited by the roles that I play, because the roles in my life can change. All the security that I felt in my role can one day just move away. There was a story of somebody who I'd known, a very, very successful business person. And I remember knowing him since a child. And when I had started my spiritual journey, I was 19 years old. And he used to always say to me, Dipty, you're so young. You can do all this when you're much older in your life. Right now, just enjoy your life. And I said, I am. And he would say to me, no, all those things are too deep right now. Just enjoy your journey as to who you are. And I asked him, who are you? And he said, I'm so and so. And I'm saying to him, just at a very deep level, just that feeling, I'm sure that that's not all that you are. But he was never prepared at that moment to listen to the deeper aspects of life. And all the things in his physical journey at that point were very, very successful. And so he claimed a good identity and a good sense of security from the roles that he had played. And that went on for many years of his life. And many years later, unfortunately, in his life's journey, he had a car accident. And he had lost both his limbs. Both his legs were cut in the accident. And life suddenly changed for him. Even though people still loved him and knew him in the way that he was, he couldn't operate in the reality of the moment. And every day he used to confidently walk into his workplace, and how everyone used to greet him as the successful businessman every morning. And that fed his identity of who he thought he was. And suddenly the roles in his life changed. And instead of being greeted by that positional role that he had, they had to now and again call him and say hello and call him by his first name, and life changed slightly. And that's the day he called me and he said, Dipty, who am I actually? Because I'm struggling so much with my self-esteem right now. Because all the things that gave me a sense of security, all those things that gave me a sense of identity, all the things where people honored and respected me for, has now changed, because I'm no longer the CEO of this company. I'm no longer able to operate with this manner or that manner. So who am I actually? So again, it's so important that on our spiritual journey in that way, when we deepen that experience of just knowing that I'm the spiritual being, this radiant being of incredible energy in that way, there's such a freedom. There's such a freedom that many things in my life may change, but they're okay. My security and my identity is so much more deeper than just the roles that I play. And those roles in my life may change, and things can happen suddenly in my life's journey, but as a soul, I am totally free, absolutely free. And these are very, very beautiful energies to feel. Because again, this energy of freedom and the energy of security allows there to be an energy flow in your life. And this energy flow that happens in your life is what creates a good internal stamina for you. In order to go on with life's journey in a very powerful way, we need internal stamina. And that internal stamina that comes within the soul, and as I'm playing the variety of things in my life, comes when there's a deep, deep security within, at a very, very powerful level. And so a very beautiful feeling and many of you who have been from your introductions, who've just come into the course for a while or have just finished the course or have used this moment for the next step of your life. Just a very deep feeling within what we've just been sharing is that the energy and the deep real experience of soul consciousness which you've been introduced to is a very, very powerful space of freedom, such a powerful space of security, such a powerful space of clarity, such a powerful space of proactivity, such a powerful space of creativity. And these are such amazing energies that I, the soul, require in order to respond to life's journey and the rapid changes that happens within one's life. There needs to be a deep, deep stillness in my being. And again, the stillness in my being comes when the soul is silent. And that silence comes when my thoughts are at peace with each other. Silence is really not a space where I'm not thinking, but silence is really that space where my inner being is in so much of harmony with itself. You know, sometimes you watch a river flowing and that river looks so calm, and yet when you go closer to the river, it is flowing quite rapidly, fast. But why it creates that calm feeling is because it's flowing in harmony. And so even during this time, when life may be moving so fast around me, when my thoughts are in harmony with one another, there's a deep, deep stage of calmness. Yeah? It's a very, very beautiful feeling that during this time in our life's journey, one of the most powerful aspects that help us is to create a deep, deep level of mastery over my own thoughts. And you know, for a long time, our thoughts have been automated. We have lived such a life of automated thinking, where these automated thoughts just come in. Soon as there's a certain scene in my life's journey, a certain level of thinking comes forward. You know. And just in the backdrop of a few of the introductions I've heard, I just want to share a very real story of my journey with my sister. And a couple of years ago, I had gone with my sister to, she had been diagnosed with cancer. And I had gone with her to the oncologist. And as the oncologist was introducing her to her program of treatment as such, she was told of the things that she would have to go through with the chemo. And the first time that we went for the first chemo treatment, the nurse had come and said to my sister that this is the drip we're going to put for you. It's a red color drip, and they call it casually, I think, the red devil, because it's the most powerful of the first drips of the chemo. And as the nurse was busy telling us about that, and then she walked away for a while, and my sister and I were sitting there where she was about to have a treatment. And we both looked at each other and we thought, oh, certainly we're not going to put red devil into our system. Just those words didn't sound good enough for what we would like to give our bodies. And so we held on to the drip and we gave it a lot of love. We gave the drip a lot of vibration when the nurse walked away. And we decided that we're not going to call it red devil. We're going to call it strawberry nectar. So it was the same drip, but we decided to change its vibration by responding with different thoughts about it. And we looked at the drip and we called it strawberry nectar. And as she took that drip, because the vibration of that was different, so much of the side effects that she could have felt of that chemo, of that first drip, changed. You know? And when she was talking afterwards about it, and she was just saying, we realized at that point of time that the scene may be the same, the object that you have to respond to may be the same, but your manner of actually responding to it and calling it in a different way is your choice. And if you are responding to it with the highest frequency, then over a period of time, the vibration of those thoughts and words that you've used will very deeply impact the effect of whatever you are dealing with. And so while she had to go through her chemo treatment in that way, we just gave it very, very deep, deep vibrations. And she was able to go through her chemo treatment quite successfully. And a very nice ending story is that years later, she is well, very, very well. Yeah. And so it's very, very important how we respond to the things that come into our life, and how our thoughts are so critical. The person may be the same person, the situation may be the same situation, but my thoughts are my choice. My thoughts is where I have the freedom to respond in a certain way. And that is the inner security. I cannot depend on the outside to create my security, because what is happening on the outside may rapidly change. But the thoughts that I've created on the inside is where there's the stability and there's a deep, deep sense of steadiness inside my being. So just on this first energy of knowing who we are as beautiful beings of energy, for me is the first step of security. So before I continue at this point, if you like to share something or see what has come up for you in what we've just started with, I'm happy to open up for a conversation at this point, and then we take it to the next step. Yeah? Feel
I am
free.
Shanti here, and I have a question.
Sure.
Okay, the question is about creating a strength. How do you do that? If a person has a very timid nature and is always afraid of things happening to her or him, what should they do to create that inner strength in themselves?
Lovely. Lovely question, Shanti. And as your name says it already, that is the basis to create that inner strength. It's the how much I have invested in the energy of becoming peaceful. You know, a lot of our times in our journey, we lose our power and we lose our strength when the first thing we lose is we lose our peace. And how do I deepen the peace? That peace that I'm deepening comes from a level of inner wisdom. When I have wisdom and understanding about certain energies in my life, that is what gives me the deep peace. So like just that first energy, that as we've deepened this very first energy of realizing and experiencing that I am a peaceful being, I'm a soul, just what we were talking about in the last half an hour, that I am a soul. Because just that energy, we have to make it extremely real in our life. It's not just a nice concept to have. It's not just a nice feeling, a nice spiritual thought to have. but to really make this a living experience that I'm a soul. I, the soul, have this amazing identity, and I carry this body. But who am I really is I'm a soul. And I find even in the world outside, and I find, like, for example, with the people that I've had to work with, because in South Africa, many have gone through a very deep space of healing that was required during the apartheid time, that a lot of the self-respect and self-esteem that is based on real acknowledgement of the self needed a sense of healing because of the journey that individuals had gone through in the climax of the country. But over a period of time, when that identity began to change and that identity became much more stronger in this identity of I'm a being of energy, I'm a soul in that way, and the deep wisdom of accepting that gave the soul a lot of power and a deep, deep sense of self-esteem and self-respect. Because my self-respect is not based on just what is coming to me from the outside, but my self-respect is based on the deep steadiness that I feel on the inside, where I'm anchored to peace, I'm anchored to love, I'm anchored to the truth of knowing that I'm so much more than the obvious. You know, I say, in life there's the obvious and there's the powerful. And if I constantly succumb to the obvious, I will never take power from that which is happening in my life that's powerful. So when I succumb to the obviousness of life, then it will always shake me and I can become weak. But when I stay with that which is powerful, and that's the level of wisdom that the soul deepens at that level, then other things begin to happen. Yeah? Like right now, because it's like, what's the time? It's 2:45 in the morning, and there's a beautiful silence outside, and there's a beautiful, well, the world around me is still very fast asleep. And we see how during this period of time, how so much is we need in the steadiness of our being. And when the steadiness of the being is deepened in that way, then the soul is able to feel power at a very, very deep level. So to that question, Shanti, your name in itself is such a beautiful answer to give, that, you know, the more and more the soul is able to deepen its real peace inside. And that peace comes from deep, deep wisdom. And when that wisdom of the true identity grows within either being, there's a beautiful level of inner power and inner strength. And then worry, fear, doubt, all these energies does not take over me in that way. Yeah.
I am Mari Kusum. Can I talk, Didi?
Yes.
Didi,
Yes.
question, Didi.
Mari
Are
Kusum,
you? Hi.
Can you just give me 1 second? Because
yeah,
for
sure.
the center, it's waking up time for many. So all our music is going here.
Going on,
so can you just give me a moment?
Yeah, sure, Didi.
It's part of the waking up time because it's like 2:45 in the morning. So
yeah, I know. I mean, very we appreciate and so much love I send for waking up for our sake. You know, you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Question is, are you? Oh, I forget the name also. Oh,
Dipty.
you're so Janki. That Janki sister. Yes.
I would love to be Daddy Janki's sister.
Oh, I thought
it would be a lovely feeling. But Daddy herself used to always say to me, Daddy Janki, I used to always say to me as that when I used to meet her, just to say I remind her of her childhood face.
Yeah, because you look very much like her, and then also she also had a cancer situation. So I think you were in Madhuban too, because sometime a couple of years ago when I used to go to Madhuban, I would see somebody like you, but then I don't know. I never got a chance of talking to any other dadis except for Dadi Nirmala. And Janki would say hi on her way. So the question is this, Dadi, I live in a very toxic environment. I have no choice because my daughter sponsored here in the USA. She went off and she settled down in life, to make it short, right? I don't want to. So thank God because of the COVID, we had the Zooming classes. But since this is my first experience out of Sri Lanka, and back home I never worked. I was always inside the house. So that is how I went into the journey also, joining the Brahma Kumaris. So, there also I got security in life. I was always protected by the Brahma Kumaris, my friends, my families. But when I came here, it was a different story, where I'm like, people are very tough. People are wanting to make money. You can never hear a kind word from anybody. At that moment, you know what, I also turn out to be very toxic, okay, within myself. However much I wake up, sometimes I join the classes, everything, but sometimes there's a moment that crosses me, oh my gosh, let nothing come right in their lives. Then again, I say to myself, oh my gosh, no, bless them. Now, there is a battle like within. I also have okay, I'm a soul, he's a soul, and I have to bless them. But it's like a kind of battle going on. Okay, they are this, and then I get mad. And then again, I try to come back to my normal self. But in the meantime, also, I can see now it's not good. It's not healthy, huh?
Yes, Kusum.
Yeah, if it's not possible at all for the next 10 years. If I live here, I'll be living in this house because I was married in Sri Lanka, and then because of my mother's illness, my husband had to get married, but he's here also. We have a good relationship. Nothing. Now there again, my in-laws are good to me. My husband's wife is good to me. Everybody is loving. But in this house, I have security because she's married, she's divorced, but there aren't any men living in the house. So I like this environment, and she does a lot of bhakti. So it's a good environment, but the people that I have to deal with, oh my gosh, Dadi, if I start the day, it's not easy for me.
Thank you, Kusum. And these are the realities that we face in that way. But exactly. I always say to myself along the spiritual journey is that I have to be very aware of what I want to be greeted in life with. So it's very, very important. There's a very spiritual law of life, that life meets you where you are at. So even though sometimes on a physical level, certain things may be very, very challenging, but if you, at a very different way, change that energy for yourself, then other things begin to happen. So even if the situations in your life may be challenging in that way, always to have that deep feeling inside at the way in which you want to face those moments of your life's journey. And I find when you choose, and the first thing I'd like to share with you is today, as you've been sharing your experience, the first thing I'd like you to take away from your vocabulary is the word toxic. It's very, very dangerous to use certain words to perpetuate a certain energy. Very, very necessary. No matter what we're facing, when I give certain energies, very powerful words, then those words start living me. So along the spiritual journey, no matter what begins to happen, our choice of words are incredibly important. And so even though things around you may be tough, may be in a certain energy field, but make sure, for myself, it has always helped me to release myself of words that will imprison me. Along the spiritual journey, we have to be incredibly careful of our choices of words. because our words give life. Every word I keep saying a few times in the day, a few times in my life, they give a certain energy. And that energy actually begins to love me. So along my spiritual journey, I have to be very careful of the words that I'm using. So yes, certain energies in our life may be difficult in that way. And but I find that if you start your day and your life and your relationships with really the experience that I found for myself, I used to work with a program, the Living Values Educational Program, which was initially initiated by the Brahma Kumaris in that way. And there were 5 beautiful energies that came up in the program. And that was the whole energy of I am loved, I am understood, I am valued, I am respected, and I am safe. These are 5 very fundamental energies in our life. I am loved, I am understood,
Wait,
I
I'm
am
going to write.
valued,
Yeah,
I am respected, and I am
yeah.
safe.
Loved,
Loved,
valued,
understood, valued, respected, and safe. You know, in our spiritual journey, when these 5 energies, we have to give life to them. It's not that it's going to come to us. I have to first give them life. And my personal experience is, as I've continued to work with the space of I am loved, I'm
valued,
understood, I'm valued, I'm respected, and I'm safe.
safe. Okay.
So many
Got it.
things in the journey begins to change in that way. Many things change very, very powerfully because what you vibrate actually comes to you. Yeah. And so when I vibrate at a certain level, then that's what begins to come into my life in a very, very deep level. So the energies that I give out, no matter how physically strenuous an energy place may be, the situation may be, the people may be. I remember, and this was the words of Daddy Janki. I remember one day when I was talking to her, when my spiritual journey just began, and I had said to Daddy Janki, such and such is happening. And as I was even saying to her, she just closed my mouth and she said, don't say it, don't say it. So I'm saying to her, but it's happening. And she's saying, no, don't say it. Because if you keep repeating those words, that becomes your life. That's the energy you're going to welcome into your journey. So we may have some karmic connections, we may have some karmic journeys that we've got to work through. But if I work through that journey in a different way, then that journey will actually look after me. You know, I can either be a victim of life or I can allow life to look after me. And how do I allow life to look after me? It's by the energies I give out. And so that first connection that we look at is really in our journey with the self as being this beautiful soul. But then the second journey that also allows me to be looked after well is in my connection with God. However I see that being, however I connect with that being very, very powerfully, that's the journey that takes care of me. I really believe at this time, in the rapidly changing world that we are living in, we need to stay anchored to that source which is constant. Everything in our life changes, but there's one source that is constant. You know, in the East, one of the beautiful memories of God or names for God that they use in the East is Sada Shiva. The word Sada in the concept of constantly, the ever constantly truthful one, the ever constantly benevolent one, the ever constant energy of light. So when I stay connected to that part and that energy that is constant, that is the energy that actually anchors me within my life's journey at a very, very deep level. And so in this rapidly changing times as well, the security that comes from inside of me is my connection with God. And I have to ask myself this question very deeply. Do I know God or do I live with God? It's a very deep, important question to ask yourself. You can know someone and it's one experience, but when you live with someone, it's a totally different experience, isn't it? We've all experienced that, isn't it? That in life, to know somebody is one thing, but to live with them, it's a totally new, different experience. So how much in my journey do I give myself the permission to live with God? And again, it doesn't have to be an advertised moment. It's not that I go around telling everyone how holy I am and how much I live with God in my life. But on a very, very real level, that I've deepened this relationship with God in my life. And that connection has created a deep sense of stability, where that relationship with God gives me that feeling of being loved, somebody who understands me. In the world, you know, people are very busy at times. And the times when you need them most and you call them, they say, sorry, temporary unavailable now, please call again later. So these are the kind of realities we see in the world because the world is so engaged in so many ways. But when I create that experience of there's one source in my life who's steady and constant, and that's why I love waking up so early in the morning. And I use this time in my early morning time to really connect and draw power. When Lisa said to me, it's going to be early your time in the morning, and I said, sure, I'm usually awake at that time, you know. And it's for me, it's a beautiful time. So for me to feel anchored, I use the early morning hours for deep, deep meditation. So I usually get up around this time or much earlier, by around 2 every morning. And I sit in deep meditation and I allow God's purest energy to anchor me. And I find it an incredibly beautiful time, because how you create your morning is the way your day will echo. Your day echoes by the frequency you have created in the morning. So I find it's very, very beautiful to connect with God first thing in the morning. Firstly, I always say to myself that along this journey, every morning, you first have to meet yourself. Then you have to meet God, and then you can meet the world. If I haven't met myself and I haven't met God, when I meet the world, there can often be chaos. But why do I have to meet myself first? Because meeting myself first means that I'm putting myself at the right frequency. It's like if you want to catch something on a certain radio station or on a certain TV channel, you first have to tune into that channel, and then you'll access the program that's there. Similarly, the channel with which we can access God's purest energy is the channel of soul consciousness, the frequency of soul consciousness. And this is why we have to meet ourselves on a daily basis and then meet God. And when these two energies are very steady, and this is what I love to do every morning, like how I'm sitting here this morning. Just a beautiful moment of just knowing how to connect with the highest on high being, the ever powerful one, the Almighty, and just allowing that energy to just shower over me and allowing God's purest energy to just fill the soul. And the more and more I'm anchored by that again, then again, beautiful things can begin to happen along my journey. And that level of anchoring on a daily basis and meeting God is important. You know? It's just this energy of how much every day I live with God's energy in my life, not just knowing that there's a God. And how much we see today in the world, we've become such beautiful aspects of, we see how within this journey of life, how we've become strangers often to ourselves, you know. You know, it's like you can press your button on your mobile phone and you can get in touch with anyone, anywhere. Huh? Right now, I've connected to you so far away. I've never been there, ever physically in my life, but I feel so close to all of you. I feel connected and I'm seated in your presence right now. So we can see physically today in the world, by a press of a few buttons, we can be anywhere in the world. And yet, we have become strangers to ourselves. It's amazing. You can switch on your mobile and talk to someone, and you can talk to them for hours. Many people do that. I usually lose my patience if I have to talk for hours to somebody on the phone. But very often, if you say to yourself that, can you take that same amount of time and talk to yourself? You know, how much along this journey do I actually talk to myself? And when I'm able to talk to myself in that way along this journey of my life, then there's such a beautiful feeling of connection that is created at a very beautiful and powerful way. And so again, just that whole experience along our journey, if I really want to stay steady and in the current times of the world where things around me are changing so much and so quickly, I have to look deep inside and make this relationship with God a very real one. Because God is real and living and present. God is very present. But in order to connect with that source, I have to be present in that energy. And the more I stay present in that energy with God, I'm able to feel that journey. And again, I find I have so many beautiful stories in my life's journey where I have found that just staying connected to that source in that way has created a very deep sense of belonging. And to share with you one story of how this feeling of belonging is such a powerful experience. Where our center is, just not so far from the center, there used to be a home of children. So babies that used to in a home. And many of these babies that were put in that home were HIV positive babies. So these babies were born HIV positive. And so they were in this home, and very often I found that just that whole experience, sorry, I just got distracted by the chat for a moment. So I found that what began to happen, going to that home, the sister from the home invited us to come there. And there was a couple, I was experiencing this couple that used to come every day to this home because they wanted to adopt a baby. So there was one baby in this home, and this baby was very critical. Since she was born, she was a fully blown AIDS. She had fully blown AIDS already. So she was fighting for her life and she couldn't breathe properly. Her immunity was incredibly weak. And so she was like put in the ICU unit of that home, just for her to be protected as she was going through this very difficult time. And this couple used to come every day and play with the babies. But the baby that they wanted to adopt was that baby. Her name was Mbali, which in Africa means beautiful flower, Mbali. And so they used to play with all the babies, and then they said to the social worker, actually the baby that we would like to adopt is Mbali. And the social worker had said that you can think about the other babies, but not Mbali. This Mbali needs stability right now. She's fighting for her life. And we have not put Mbali up for adoption yet because we need to keep her in stability. So this couple used to come on a daily basis and play with all the babies and connect with them. And then the committee there decided that, okay, you can come and you can wear your gloves and your gown and your mask and all of that, and you can hold baby Mbali and just hold her in your arms. So every day this couple used to come after work, and I used to see how they used to sanitize themselves and really protect themselves and protect the baby particularly, who was so vulnerable at that moment of time. And they would hold this baby in their arms. And I saw how the mother used to give this baby so much of love. I used to watch the scene. It was a very powerful scene to watch. This baby who had oxygen, she had drips, she had everything to keep her life going. And here she was being held in the arms of this mother-to-be. And you know, within a very short period of time, because that baby started feeling so much of love, it was amazing. It was such an incredible scene to watch. Over a period of time, the baby started breathing on her own. The white cell count started getting stronger, and the red cell count was becoming a stronger entity. And over a period of time, little Mbali, who was struggling for her life, started getting stronger. Nothing else had physically changed, but what had changed is every day she was getting a powerful dose of love. And so how we see that along our life's journey, when we feel a deep sense of belonging, it gives us back our life. Little Mbali is now maybe 13 years old, and she is very well. She's been adopted by this couple, and she lives a very safe and beautiful life now. But what gave her life? It was love. What gave her life was a sense of belonging. So how in a physical world, if someone can feel a deep sense of belonging, and someone can feel a deep sense of love, how much it can give them life. So think about it in our own journey, that when we feel a deep sense of belonging to God, we feel a deep sense of love from God, it actually gives me back my life. Yeah? How much on a daily basis, at a very deep level in my life's journey, do I feel that deep sense of belonging? Yeah? It's the one thing to know everything about God, but to belong to God is a very, very powerful journey. It's a journey that awakens my life in a very, very powerful way. And so how to deepen this journey of love, how to deepen this journey of belonging, and then see how that actually gives you life. These are the things that keep us steady at this time in our life's journey. These are the moments that really deepens very much our deep experiences. You know? Along the journey, there are so many things that can feel so real and so consuming in my life's journey right now. And life can consume me very, very quickly. But again, I have to ask myself this question very, very powerfully. Are the urgencies of my life navigating my life's journey? Or am I making decisions in my life based on what I believe is most important? And sometimes it's the urgent things in our life that has taken over our life. Everything else in our life have become, we live in such a world where everything has become urgent. And those urgent moments of our life are not always serving me. I have to take some time every day and write down 5 things at least that are important for me in my life's journey and growth. Ask myself at least 5 things that are important. One may be to give myself time every day on a spiritual level. The other may be the importance of taking care of your body, whether that requires exercise, whether that requires certain level of eating, whatever it may be. But how much am I giving respect to that which is also important? Because life can be so busy that sometimes we neglect this very vehicle, because our body is our precious vehicle that actually carries us through life's journey. So it's important to look after the body. It's important to look after my spiritual being. The third important aspect to it's important to look after is my emotional state of being, my relationship with people in my life, you know. Don't wait to make things right after they've gone wrong. On a daily basis, understand how much relationships in my life require love and respect. You know, some people take certain relationships for granted, and then after a while, they then try to fix them. And that takes a lot of energy. So don't just get caught up in those energies of your life where afterwards you have to fix things. It's important that I have good relationships. And the relationships is not coming from outside, it's coming from inside. What do I value in my relationships? The importance. Another very important aspect right now is the importance of time. Time is of critical importance, you know. Don't just get too busy with life. Life can keep you very busy. If you're not careful enough, life can take over you. But this time of ours is a very, very precious moment of life's journey. Time is incredibly precious. How much importance am I giving to use my time properly? No? Let me not waste this precious time of mine in things that are not serving me. Look at how I've spent my day and ask myself, the things I've done in my life, are they actually serving me? Are they allowing me to use my time in the right way? Or is my time going by? What is important right now is time. Time is the most critical commodity that we are facing at this moment of time. And to use that time for that which is most important. And not to just allow the time to be used in the urgencies or so-called busyness of life. Use your time for that which is making you grow. And then the 5th level of importance that we see within our journey is just that whole energy, again, of just deepening the experience within myself, of just allowing myself at a very, very deep level within my life's journey, at this time particularly where we are in the world, to create a most elevated or a most highest state purpose. Because our purpose at this moment of time is a very high purpose, not just for myself, but for the world. And if I live just for myself, I'm making my world such a small place. But if I'm living this life with the feeling that I'm the child of the world, then many deep things begin to happen. So this is such a unique experience for me, so early in the morning when I'm usually in silence and having a beautiful morning meditation time. But yes, I have a lovely friendship with Lisa because of our young brother as well. And so to be invited and to be part of this journey, it's been a beautiful one. But I'm very open to anything else we have to do now, Lisa, and we can take it forward from there.
Hello. Yes, thank you very much, Sister Dipty, for sharing all these valuable jewels that you shared with us. The one thing that, actually, a few things that I have taken from your sharing is that who am I? I am a soul, especially in times of trouble, to remember that and practice it in now in our times of comfort. I'm a soul, I'm an immortal being, and I am peace, or a peaceful soul. And stay away from all the negative or language and negative thoughts, and talk to myself and connect with God by being present when we make that connection, and take that powerful dose of love from God and give that powerful dose of love to others. And we see change happen because of that. And at the end, of course, you were mentioning about time, that how let me not waste any of this most precious and valuable critical commodity, which is time. So let us not waste it. And I just want to thank you very much for sharing this. We have a few minutes. I know Sister Gita is here with us. She's the center coordinator of Los Angeles, and she would like to say hello and to say a few words to you.
Yes, I've seen Sister Gita, and I was very happy to see my Sister Gita. Om Shanti Ben.
Sister Gita? She.
Om Shanti. It was
Shanti.
very nice to see you, Dipty Ben. And when I heard that someone says that Dadi, and I was really appreciating that what Dadi Janki or Dadi Kumarka or all these, our seniors, what give us the guidance, and how you became embodiment of that naturally that word appear from them. And I appreciate about that your time. And even though it was early morning, and that is your time with God, and you share your time with all of us, how much really we also can appreciate and say, Om Shanti with the one hands, and really appreciate. So we have to learn that how you share your time with others in that really precious time, which is whom she belonged to and how she makes God belongs to, and she spent that time early in the morning. Anybody can say that she's like it's early morning there. It looks like it's a afternoon, So that's way it's example of that what God is teaching, how you can really become embodiment of that. And that's a perfect example, Sister Dipty. I really appreciate, admire for all the times. And thank you so much that we met once again on that.
No, it's lovely. Last night when I was writing my diary before I go to sleep at night, and I was saying to myself that I need to be ready by 1:30 in the morning because this is going to be at 2. So by the time one showers and gets ready, so I said to myself, by 1:30 I have to wake up and be ready. And I thought, okay, I don't usually ever do this, to do a talk at 2 o'clock in the morning. But this scene has happened in the drama. It's the first time I'm doing a talk at 2 o'clock in the morning. But it's a very beautiful time, and I think that we are in such a critical time. And I find that somehow life will always connect you with who you need to be connected at these critical moments of life's journey. So we were meant to meet, and we were meant to connect, and this was meant to happen. I couldn't believe it last night as I was going to sleep. I said, did I say yes to 2 o'clock in the morning for a talk? And it is outside here, you know, where I live. It's very, very important that our lights are not so on early in the morning on many ways, because there's a lot of security issues here, because the area that we live is not so safe. And so getting up like in the morning times, we have to take care of the security. And yes, at the same time, it was like, okay, it's wonderful. And yeah, so here we are. And it's very lovely to meet the family and lovely to connect in this way. I've never been to America in my life, but I'm being now with you. And that's been a beautiful
Definitely,
thing.
after lockdown, Power will be here. So that was very nice. So all of us, we should not waste it one even second, because this time what is passing by, it's a really blessings for us, that you go in a world and appreciate whatever you have and use it in a worthwhile way. You know, same thing, Dipty Ben. I also have that golden opportunity anytime, sometimes 11 p.m. or 1 a.m. Also, I have that golden opportunity. So Baba, like God is using us in a very worthwhile way. So just be, whatever opportunity comes, enjoy and appreciate your beautiful life. Don't waste anywhere.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
you know, at this time, I really feel that we have tremendous support. We have tremendous support. And never to think that you're alone on this journey. Besides God, I really, in my life, I feel very sustained by all our elders along this journey as well, and all our daddies and all the beautiful souls who've been on this journey. So we are so sustained and inspired by them. I find early in the mornings when I'm meditating, very often I don't feel alone. I just feel that there's so many beautiful, so many wonderful human beings who have lived such powerful lives, and they are present to support my journey right now. So, you know, like in the world, they call it the journey of ancestors. But we are not just blessed by God. Yes, we are blessed by God, but we are blessed by these wonderful souls in our journeys. We are also blessed by our own fortune, that at this time we have the ability to come together like this and do what we have to do. So it's our great fortune to be able to do this for ourselves, for each other, and most importantly right now, for our world. Yeah.
Thank
Here
you.
we go.
Thank you,
Sister
Sister.
Dipty, hope that you
Shanti.
join us again. We do have a meditation, our meditation that is going to be happening in a few minutes. You're most welcome to join us and continue with your meditation, or you can just sign off.
I think Dipty Ben, you can conduct meditation, and then whenever you have to exit, you can, and we can continue about that. Yeah?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Thank you.
Shanti, I will take your leave now.
Shanti.
Shanti.
Check, whose smile do you wear? Whose words do you speak? Do you walk them well? Ask your heart, do you know who I am? Do you hear the child who wants to run with the wind? Do you hear the child who wants to run with the wind? Joy, do you know how it tastes? Do you know how you feel right here, right now? Ask your heart, where did I go? Can you find the child who wants to run with the wind? Can you find the child who wants to run with the wind? Take a glimpse of God along the horizon. Know that somewhere there's a place called home. Hear the message from the corridors of heaven and go running safely to the arms of the one you love.